Welcome back to the Overplayed podcast, the home of sports and sports gaming in your ear each and every single Thursday, roughly around 3 p.m. Eastern time, except for the times where I happen to not show up for the podcast because I didn't realize what day or what time it is. So first things first, I will apologize. Mills is probably shocked at the fact that I'm apologizing for something, but that is 100% on me. We didn't have an episode last week because I completely lost track of time, so I just want to throw that out there in case you want to
be fair. To be fair, it also was, second day of second shot. You were doing your part, getting vaccinated.
True. I don't want to make excuses.
A lot of mask laws lifting or regulations. I guess not laws, regulations as we speak. Many states lifting complete mask. Got to be safe. Got to be safe for the family. Got to be safe for the public. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Once I realized it was your second day and you're kind of a baby, it's okay. I fully understand that that we missed an episode that I was sitting at the computer for a half hour waiting for you to show up, saying I'm not gonna ping him because I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. Thought maybe you're enjoying getting ready to enjoy Mass Effect, maybe taking an early nap. I know in your advanced experience, maybe you're starting to learn what those naps will do. I know what those naps will do. I've known what those naps will do for years. Believe me, I just thought maybe you were getting to the point where you understood where they were going. So,
yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I was sleeping a lot, but if you're hearing that gentleman, I use gentleman with air quotes over here, that's roasting me and belittling me, that is my incredible co-host who will not recognize himself in a mirror in a matter of a couple of weeks. Mills, how are you?
I don't want to think about it. It's literally it is just over 3 weeks away. I'm dreading it. I don't know if you saw, I actually went and got a haircut. I took like 2 or 3 inches off of my hair because I'm mentally trying to see my face without the beard, and the longer hair doesn't work. Like I have to have this like shorter, like around the chin almost to get it layered. I almost have to go Rachel from Friends to kind of shape my face correctly. So I have to make sure that my face is properly framed when maybe it'll make my chin look bigger when the hair, peaks down on below it. I don't know. It's going to take a lot of product, I'm sure, to help me. I'm terrified. I'm not going to lie. I'm completely terrified.
So happy.
My beard has been part of my brand for over 3 years. You understand that I've been partnered for 4 years on Twitch. I've been streaming for 5 years. For over 3 years, even my logo, people were telling me, are you going to shave your logo? Like my Road to the Show character that I play on stream, like, hey, are you going to shave your Road to the Show character when it happens? And I'm like, I don't want to hear any of this right now. This isn't fair. I've never been hustled as badly as I was hustled this time. And like every time someone hears that it's getting shaved and that you hustled me, it's the same response of, no, why would you do this? And I'm like, you don't understand. He knows my weakness. He understands that if he gets me talking and gets me into the betting world, that at some point I'm going to make a misstep because I really want to embarrass him. And the one time it backfires on me, it takes my most precious possession.
I used 2 things against you that I knew would get you to willingly agree to the bet without doing research. One, it was a bet because I've literally nonstop trolled you for 20 plus episodes over the fact that you're a terrible bettor. You're not good at betting. And then the other piece of it was I threw in the charity aspect, which no one
you knew as soon as you put charity and St. Jude's on the line, I would say yes. Like there's no one's going to say no to charity. And me especially, I adore helping charity. It's
for a good cause, Mills, and we all appreciate it.
I love that this is laughing, by the way. He is not putting on an act. He is genuinely enjoying this. Like this is the highlight of what's coming to be his June. So, well, basically. Maybe not the full highlight, but yeah. So like, other than that, what have you been playing? Let's get this off the beard. I need to get off the beard. I need to understand. Explain to me something. You told me you're still having a problem with Outriders. What's going on? Because I've not had these problems you've had with it.
Right. Just, so it's a great segue, other than playing you for, charity bets. I've been trying to play Outsiders and it's been
Outriders.
Outriders. Dang it! I always say Outsiders. Outsiders is a pizza brand, by the way. It's pretty good.
I'll try it out sometime when I'm in.
100% try it out. Get the Detroit style. It's very good. But yeah, so Outriders. Now that I know the name of it, I would know the name if I could actually play it. I have tried to play it an insane amount of times, but it has not worked. I loaded up. I have 2 different characters in the game. I was getting cutscene breakdowns the entire time for both of it. I would try to load the game up. I try to queue in with a random team. I literally on Xbox Live cannot connect to any random teammates whatsoever. And I tried multiple times for multiple characters, still no issue. So I think I'm gone on Outriders, man. Like it's a month and a half now. I don't know what to tell them at this point.
Honestly, I actually had put my time in with Outriders and enjoyed a lot of it, but it was never meant to be a live service game. To their words. And so for me, it kind of lost a little bit of interest knowing that there wasn't going to be something else put on top of it. And don't get me wrong, I love grinding a game. I'll grind a game anytime, but I have to grind a game knowing that there's something on the horizon for it, not that just I'm grinding just to grind what's already there. Which brings me to Square Enix's other major property not other major, they have a couple of them, but another major property that didn't have a great launch, but is actually going the opposite way right now. They're having a kind of a resurgence on what they're doing, and that's Marvel's Avengers. Absolutely a terrible launch for a Marvel property. Pretty much an easy cash cow. You're putting the Avengers in a game. It had a fantastic campaign centered around Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. But all of the stuff in the live service portion of it was just not working well. The mechanics were broken a little bit. The grind, there wasn't enough content. They're still at a point where there's not a ton of content. They added Maestro in. They're adding what's called Red Room. Matter of fact, it'll be live by the time you guys hear this. It is another version of the Harm Room with a higher difficulty level. They added in what's called Champions levels. So once you get your hero to 50 XP, you start grinding XP on top of that for permanent upgrades that you can spend on your own for each individual character. Cool stuff. They changed the marketplace up. One of the biggest problems I had was, the marketplace would be for a week. And if you missed a week, you missed all of the costumes. Now everything's in the marketplace. Anytime they add a new one, it just adds onto another tab of the marketplace, which I think is fantastic. I spent way too much money this week on Avengers.
I saw your tweet. I was like,
yeah, it was. Listen, I'm a sucker for certain things. I'm maining Hawkeye, and he had some fantastic skins. Cap had a couple of really good skins, and they started adding new takedowns with this patch, was something I asked for a lot. It was finishers in the game. But for me, what meant the most is there's a roadmap. And we talk about this a lot when it comes to sports video games, is that communication is key. And one of the things Crystal Dynamics is done is that, hey, listen, we know we screwed up. It took us 6 months to get this game back on to where it should have been at launch. But now their content roadmap is showing to be pretty good. They're going to have the Red Room this month. They're going to have the Cosmic Cube new villain sector next month. So it's, again, content for other people to say. They're looking, what their roadmap looks like is possibly the next hero they're going to release is Black Panther.
Ooh.
That's the thing. So, everyone knows everything's pointing towards this release, because not only Black Panther, they're releasing new base enemies, new villains, a brand new area in Wakanda. That is, I think, their crown jewel coming up. It's going to be their make or break moment when they release that. Where is the game going to be when they release that? And how good is that release going to be? If they knock it out of the park, which again, it's a Marvel property and it's Black Panther, man. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. They have got a cash cow sitting in their hands, but they've got to execute. They got to execute. And so far, I've been playing it the last couple of weeks, especially with the patches that came out this week. It's been a lot more fun. The loot drops are way better. The combat's way better. I'm hoping they keep that momentum going throughout the summer. It looks like Black Panther might be at this point late summer, a late summer release. I hope it's not too late, especially you're starting to get into holiday of 2021 where it gets lost. But we'll see.
Yeah, E3 is right around the corner. We're gonna have some big announcements. Obviously, in a couple, right around the time that your beard is disappearing, we're gonna have some great
Yeah.
announcements that week. And then, I think, I hope it's not too late for them, but I think we're gonna see some interesting strategies this year. I
They're
feel
going to
like.
actually be there too,
Oh,
which I
good.
thought I found interesting that Avengers going to be there. A couple of people, obviously, E3 was kind of falling off even before the pandemic. A lot of companies were having their own
Yeah,
meetings and events. So, and the fact that it's virtual this year, am I the only one? Let's real quick, just E3 being virtual just doesn't feel right. Like I get that a lot. I think of companies that do their own thing, like Sony, Microsoft, Bethesda, who probably does it with Microsoft this year. Like there's big companies I can understand, Ubisoft, but feeling like E3 being virtual just feels too many things thrown in together.
yeah. My hope, for me, if they do E3, I mean, E3 is being done virtual, but for them to do it right, they need to do the thing that I think Jeff Keighley did a couple of years ago, maybe the past couple of years, I can't remember, where the demos that were there were also able to be playable, right? There was something
Immediate,
tangible that
yeah.
came from that. If they can do that, right? If they can say, here's a quick little slice of something or whatever, for at least some of the titles, I think that's going to make E3 feel way more like real and tangible at that point. But if it's just all, trailers and stuff, it'll have some hype, but it's going to not necessarily be the week that we maybe thought it was. And I'm curious of how they're going to do things with journalists in terms of getting them, access to stuff, to builds, to play for hands on. Because think about how many times we'd see a trailer, but a hands-on report from IGN or Kotaku or
Mhm.
Polygon or whoever came out and were like, yo, that is an incredible detail. I didn't know that about the game. I couldn't grasp that from the trailer. Like, that's what I'm worried about this year.
Yeah, I think Keeley does it the best. Whenever I see the Game Awards, I
Yep.
know it's always going to be, it's always going to pay off. That's why the Game Awards are must see TV for me. Um, I worry about E3. Speaking of things that we worry about, let's get into some sports games real quick before we hit the world of sports. MLB The Show. It's been a couple of weeks. Server issues are lightning but not fixed. Like we're not seeing quite as many server issues, but they're still there. We're seeing an uptick on freeze offs in head-to-head gaming. But I want to talk about our love here for a second. We've seen them come out. They did a live not too long ago where Nick Livingston from the MLB The Show San Diego Studios team kind of addressed a lot of issues of the game, including just quality of life stuff. People holding R2 when they go to pitch. It's a head-to-head problem. Road to the Show still being a focus of theirs, even especially the offline Road to the Show, where they're looking for ways to make that experience a little less connected, possibly, or make it so that way they don't have to worry about the Diamond Dynasty side of stuff. Yeah, right. No offense. Yeah, right. Uh, and then they talked about the server issues. Obviously, we all know server issues are going to be a problem. Am I weird for still wanting them to say something about franchise? Because the further we go into franchise, and I get it, I complain about franchise mode a lot. Listen, I think it's warranted in this game, but the one thing that they talked about being fixed in franchise mode was the trade logic and player value. The longer the game has been out, the more we have seen outlandishly ridiculous trades happening now. One of the ones we see all the time is Garrett Hampson for who was it? Some huge prospect that I forget who it is. It's always Garrett Hampson for the same player though. It's always these huge prospects getting moved for like 30-year-old journeyman pitchers. Uh, the one thing they touted as being fixed. Oh, by the way, depth charts, the meme of depth charts, the other thing they added into franchise mode. I tested that a little bit this weekend. Guess what? I took the Brewers. I took Jesus Aguilar, moved him from first base. By the way, he's a first base primary. Okay, he does not have shortstop anywhere in his build. Moved him to shortstop in the depth chart. It kept him as the starting shortstop for the next 5 years because he's as long as he's signed. Because I started him at shortstop. He's not even a shortstop. Like there's no predicting in this depth chart. And what really worries me is a guy like Jazz Chisholm, who's a big prospect for the Marlins. He's a shortstop prospect for the Marlins, but in game he's a second baseman. Like he's playing second base for them. So in the Marlins depth chart, he's predicted at second base for the next 5 years. That's a huge problem because shortstop is a way more valuable spot for him, especially with his tools. And that changes how, like, it was exactly what I said before the release. If this depth chart thing doesn't work the way it's supposed to, it's going to break CPU team building. So that really bothers me. And I kind of want to see more of, hey, listen, like what, I hate to say it again, what Madden did. Madden came out and said, hey, we hear you. We screwed up. We screwed up for a while. Here's what we're going to do. Crystal Dynamics with Avengers. Hey, we screwed up. Here's what we're going to do. Here's the roadmap. Even Outriders, to a point, even though Outriders is still having problems, they came out and said, hey, we're having problems. This is what we're trying to do. They consistently communicated. I feel like I think the communication we get from Sony San Diego Studios is always pointed instead of attacking all of the issues or all of the major issues. I think they only attack things they know they can fix. And that scares me because you and I both know franchise modes have been ignored pretty much across the board for a lot of sports games, especially AAA sports games. And it really worries me.
Yeah. My fear, or my thoughts as to why we're not seeing anyone come out and really talk about franchise mode is I think everyone in that studio is probably afraid of being the person that is now synonymously associated with franchise mode. If person A from that studio comes out and is like, hey, we also hear you on the franchise stuff, blah, blah, blah. That person is now held accountable by the community, by all the people that are angry about franchise mode are going to look at that sole person and say, give us an update. You're the only person that talks to us. Give us an update. And I think they're genuinely scared of that. If I was in their shoes, I'd be like, yeah, man. If I'm in that studio and I'm thinking like we don't really have a fix for franchise mode and it's not being prioritized at all, I'm not being the dude that talks about that.
Yep.
Because I know it's the same thing that happened with Rex Dixon, right?
Yes.
Rex Dixon was obviously, I think he was creative director.
Yeah.
So he's creative director for Madden for so many years. And Rex had great moments, and he also had some moments where I'm like, oof. But that's any of us, to be fair, I think at that point. But Rex had come out a couple of times and talked about franchise mode, and then what happened? People then were going at him 100% when something wasn't worthwhile in franchise mode to their view. Same thing happened with Clint Oldenburg. It happens time and time again when someone talks about that, they are then held accountable. And I think developers just know it's probably not worth it in their eyes to talk about a mode that is being devalued by the studio or by higher ups or by whoever.
Which is ironic because the thing Madden is doing correctly right now is Sean Grady came out and essentially said,
yep,
hi, I'm the guy. For better or worse, he came out and said, hi, we know what happened. I'm telling you from my lips, we are going to make it right. So if they don't, Sean Grady's going to be the next one on that role of people that that are pointed out. When honestly, the guilt probably lies a lot higher.
Agreed.
And I think that's pretty much. I think as gamers, anyone that's an informed gamer in the sports gaming world knows that the issues with franchise mode don't lay normally at the devs' feet. Normally, they lay a lot higher. Without naming names, obviously, because the last thing you want is a witch hunt. But most people you can't get a hold of on social media, or most people you never see making those choices. And for Sean Grady to do something like that and come out and say that and say, hey, look, we know the problem. We're here to fix it. And to see the stark difference between him and Nick Livingston coming out and knowing there's issues with franchise mode and just kind of, it wouldn't have gotten me if he didn't mention Road to the Show. Like, if he was just focusing on the Diamond Dynasty issues, then so be it, or the gameplay issues. But like, Road to the Show has been there. I mean, there was an entire article on theshow.com dedicated to the Road to the Show, and how they were more committed to making sure that the offline experience was as good as the connected one.
For sure, and I think, I hear you, and I don't disagree with you, but I think there is a difference to point out. Right, Sean Grady, I don't want to say likely would not have come out had there not been a trending hashtag going on about his game saying cancel EA or fix Madden franchise mode, or whatever the hashtag essentially was. And I see the same people that made that hashtag are talking about making another one for a variety of reasons. But
they made 4 or 5 and only one of them really hit. But still.
Yeah, but I think that was really the catalyst for EA being like, yo, like, okay, buddy, we've got to do something. I don't know if the MLB The Show community care, at least on social media, cares as much about franchise mode as maybe the Madden community does.
Oh, they
Right?
don't. There's
That's the
no.
hard part.
They don't. They don't. Madden has been beaten down for 10 years of franchise mode, and you're absolutely right. Madden has a couple of unique personalities in their franchise community that have the backing to do that. If you got all of the franchise creators together with our backing and MLB The Show, it wouldn't hold a candle to what could have happened with Madden, just because again of the people that are involved in that. Um, I don't disagree with you. I
Yeah.
think the only way MLB really focuses on franchise mode is if it hurts them somewhere else. I mean, we've already seen like Road to the Show gets connected to Diamond Dynasty. I'm sure they're seeing a windfall from that with their live services. So, and that's
Yeah.
hey, that's what matters, man. You got to point them to the live services, right? So,
Yeah. I think too an interesting point that I just maybe one last point on this though
no,
is,
go for it. Yeah,
is when I'm thinking through like why does the Madden community care more about franchise mode versus the MLB The Show community caring more about franchise or less about franchise mode? And I think a lot of it is stem from content creators, right? Content creators are helping call things out, are helping sort of raise issues, or if an issue is being raised, they can sort of, light more of a fire to it and sort of give it a bigger audience. So like, oh, this is definitely an issue or we need to care more about this.
Hmm.
Content creators for Madden have been around well before Diamond Dynasty mode.
Yep.
Where MLB The Show content creators, I don't think have been around from a franchise perspective before, Diamond Dynasty was really around as much. So maybe that's really why you're seeing like this stark change in Madden's community being more crazy about franchise mode. Obviously, the tenure that you pointed out too, and maybe what the show's community is.
right. And I think a lot of MLB The Show franchise creators have kind of left franchise mode too with how good Diamond Dynasty is. I think a lot of people went into that mode and started. I've seen a lot of people that I expect in franchise mode doing Diamond Dynasty because it's just built so well, and that's where the money is right now, unfortunately. Like you said people that have been around forever. Me, you,
Mr. Hurricane,
Mr. Hurricane, and Bengal did MLB The Show franchise for a while. I just, when it goes to continuing past that, like there are a lot of names now. Scout Scoops, those guys, the guys from like Ride and M. Frisk and all those guys kind of building that group up. But even that group right now they're still so young and so small in terms of their infancy of their creation. Even some of their guys are getting numbers by playing Diamond Dynasty. Like
yep.
that's what I'm starting to see now. And in a time where content creation is so just at each other's throats for views, you got to go where the money is sometimes. And unfortunately, a lot of content creators from MLB The Show have gone to Diamond Dynasty, whereas a lot of content creators for Madden were already ingrained and had that built-in audience. So you're right. I think that's where that comes from. So hopefully that changes at some point. Hopefully that franchise voice gets a little bigger. Until then, why would they comment? But also maybe a little competition. After we talked about Super Mega Baseball being acquired by EA and what they might do with that, we also, another piece of competition for EA is NFL 2K. They mentioned late last year that they were going to be making a non-simulation football game. Well, we've now found out through one of their stock calls that we're going to call it NFL Arcade 2K22 because I don't want to call it NFL 2K22 and, clickbait people. It was scheduled to possibly be in March 2022. It looks like it's going to be delayed well past that. I think they're still eyeing a 2022 release. But again, arcade mode. But if they get their foot in the door with an NFL arcade license, they can show the NFL what they can do. That brings up maybe a thorn in EA's side for, hey, they're knocking on that NFL door going, hey, look what we're doing with this arcade mode. EA hasn't done this with arcade mode. We're doing way better than EA's arcade mode. Maybe we can do better with the simulation side too. And Lord only knows, I think, what did EA re-sign for? Was it 5 years? I think it was a simulation. So when that comes back up, if NFL 2K has shown their side, who knows? But it was official. They're not going to meet like a March 2022 release. It's going to be well behind that. So NFL Arcade 2K22 fans, just hold your horses. It's coming, but it's going to be delayed a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of that release date didn't really make a ton of sense to me when I initially thought about it. Like, I get maybe you capitalize a little bit on like the traffic going into the draft and stuff,
Right.
but if you push it into like a June, July even time frame, right, when the mini camps are starting to hit and there's more and more buzz coming, and you can get out
Before
before
Madden, though. Before Madden.
before
Yeah.
Madden,
Right.
that seems like a really smart move for them to potentially do. Not who knows what they'll do though.
If you remember back in the day when they had, and when NFL 2K and Madden were going back and forth, release date was one of those things that they kept going back and forth with, because Madden had to compete with their own NCAA title, but NFL 2K kept pushing further and further up. At one point, we had like July releases, I thought. Yeah. And now we're back to September, August, obviously COVID having a piece of that, but like, that's one of those things that when you get competition and you want to get your game out first, price goes down sometimes. NFL 2K is famous, or I guess infamous, for knocking their price down to $20. It may have been what knocked them out of the NFL game, honestly. Don't tell some people that. Some people will be just like, EA bought their way in. No, NFL 2K did not get a good feedback from the NFL for knocking their price down. Those of you that know, you know. Maybe that'll be a whole episode some other time. But anyway,
I can't imagine.
Oh, geez. What if you only knew 2005, 2015 edition, man. If you only knew, or 2005 edition, yeah. Some of us were alive back then. So boomer. Sorry, I can't help myself. I'm trying to find my segue here, and I can't, because it is competition's important. I'm one of those people that never thought competition. I thought competition could be like NBA 2K versus Madden, and it is, but it's not. Like, it's still, an NFL property, or even Metalhead's going to get part of an MLB license. You know for a fact EA is not bringing Metalhead in to make a generic baseball game. They're going to throw an MLB license on something. And Metalhead might be the one to do it. So, again, two of the major sports properties getting some competition could be a good thing for sports games.
Amen.
Competition breeds heroes. It also breeds villains. Sports, this week in sports, let's talk about it. So, if you've been watching Major League Baseball and listening to us, we've been talking about let the kids play. It's one of those things that we really have a passion for. We think baseball needs to have more entertainment, more fun. Just let them have fun on the field, and let the younger fans engage in that. Fast forward to the Minnesota Twins versus the Chicago White Sox. Yermin Mercedes, who is the young catcher trying to find his way, having a fantastic season so far. If you're playing him with the show, he's already got a top snout card. They're talking about possibly moving him up to Diamond at some point. He's in a 15-4 game. The White Sox, he hits for the White Sox. They're up 15-4. Willens Astudillo La Tortuga, to some, is pitching for the Twins. He's a position player. Normally a catcher, plays all over the field. He's pitched for the Twins before. He's throwing a 3-0 count, okay, which means 3 balls, no strikes, down 15-4. He throws a 47-mile-an-hour fastball. Yermin cocks up, hits a ball over 400 feet out, does not celebrate, jogs around the bases like he's been there before. So if you want to talk about celebrate, he didn't do that. Steps to the plate, walks to his dugout. Immediately, the Twins color analyst, who I found only does a few games a year for good reason, as you're about to hear, says, I don't know that I would have done that. Not really my thing. Just doesn't feel right. And what he's saying is the unwritten rule of baseball. Oh, the whole book of unwritten rules. So the unwritten rule is if you're up by a certain amount of runs, there is no actual count. If you're at a 3-0 count, you're supposed to take a strike. You're supposed to just give a strike to give the other team an opportunity to move the game along. Okay, so the Twins announcer, social media, a little bit of an uproar. After the game is over, White Sox win. Tony La Russa, who is the old man waving to the clouds these days, is asked about it in the post-game interview. Tony La Russa is now the coach of the White Sox and also for Yermin Mercedes. He said, Yermin was in the wrong. He was given a take sign. I was on the field saying take, and he swung away anyways. There will be consequences, and he'll have to endure in the family, which is behind closed doors. So be it. I'm okay with whatever you want to talk about. What I'm not okay with is this. I get it. You told the kid to take. Manager makes a call. Player should listen. But you don't come out after the game and throw one of your young star players under the bus, especially when you are the White Sox. You are a young team with very high expectations. You're finally getting all that glue together and facing off against the Royals for what could be a very long fight this season, especially in that Central. There are other really good teams. Hell, the AL in general. You also have a player in your team by the name of Tim Anderson, who one of the things he's known for is slamming the bat after no doubt home runs. Like, that's something he's known for. Okay, so La Russa says this. Social media pretty much gives him what for. As I said, old man shakes cane at clouds. So be it. This story goes away today because Mike Trout gets injured at the same time. Mike Trout's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. We'll talk about that in a second. But that story goes away. The La Russa thing goes away if he just keeps his mouth shut. Fast forward to the next Twins-White Sox game. Yermin Mercedes first at bat. Twins pitcher Tyler Duffy throws at Mercedes' hip. Hits him, sends him to for a while, doesn't hit him, almost hits him, throws behind him. Is essentially, hey, you broke an unwritten rule. This is your punishment. Okay. Again, if no one says anything, this story goes swept under the rug. All right. We argue about it for a day. After the game, La Russa doubles down. I think the Twins were right in handling it the way they did. I'm sorry, what?
Absolutely did.
Did you just condone one of your star young players getting thrown at? And again, I can tell you the White Sox are not on board with this because there's an Instagram live post from, I believe it was Yoan Moncada. It might have been somebody else on the White Sox team with Tim Anderson looking dead in the camera going, keep swinging 3-0, kid. His team, Yermin Mercedes' team, is on their side. Okay, this is a young, talented squad that likes to play baseball. And what La Russa's doing is the worst possible thing you can do for a young player. Number one, don't get in your young player's head. Number two, don't get in the way of your young team. Don't mess with chemistry. Don't throw your players under the bus publicly. If you don't like it, do what you said you were going to do. Handle it in-house. Go in there and say, hey, dude, listen, just saying, I understand that all the media and all the social media is going to be talking to you about this, but these are the unwritten rules we play for on my club. Okay, so be it. But keep your mouth shut to the media. You've been in baseball long enough to know that you cannot do this to this team. Like, would you be surprised if this team starts playing not quite up to the level anymore under La Russa?
Yeah, I think if there's a couple things I can see here, I definitely see La Russa not being there by end of season. I know that there's, I think, apparently a link between La Russa and the team owner, if I remember correctly.
There is.
But I can tell you one thing that team owners care about more than personal friendships. They care about their team losing massive amounts of money for them. So if this team starts tanking hard, if players start just sort of mailing in a little bit here and there, and they start doing the things that players do when they hate playing for a coach, look at what the Cavs did a couple of years ago when they had, David Blatt. Yep. And they were doing a little mutiny. They're like, okay, get this dude up out of here. And they got Ty Lue instead. I can see a very similar thing happening for the White Sox. The White Sox are also a team that is, look, a big part of baseball, right? Is you do your 6 years of major league service. You're eligible to go into free agency, signing those big term deals. Free agents are a major part of baseball. Think about every single year when these veterans are moving around. What veteran is going to want to go play for that team in the offseason with Tony La Russa as the coach? I can't really think of many.
And when it comes to free agency, one of the differences between MLB and all the other sports is no salary cap.
Yep.
So like money, while one team's willing to pay money, and a lot of that is negotiation, one of the major selling points for franchises is who you're playing for, what you're playing for, if you're playing for a contender, and the area you're playing for. Like, the White Sox are a desirable place to play with the team that they are fielding right now. They have a very, very good baseball team, a possible World Series contending baseball team. And the worst thing you can do to a team that doesn't, isn't that top tier, but one step underneath, is give them any reason to have a distraction, any reason to have anything. Because now the media is going to be asking them about this for the next couple of weeks. Like this Tim Anderson thing just came out today. It's going to blow up a lot more because it's Anderson essentially saying exactly the opposite of what Tony La Russa did. And that right there to me shows that that the coach and this team is not on the same page. And to what you said, Tony La Russa has the owner's ear. He's got a lot of history with the owner. The Reinsdorfs, let's just say the word Reinsdorf is already a curse word in Chicago. So
Yeah.
that right there, that's just a rift you don't want to have in a 162 game season, when, especially this early, when so much is riding on the line for this team. To your credit, what you said about 6 years before you become a free agent, a lot of these guys are coming up on that. That's the other part of this, is a lot of these guys were young players all coming up and getting that glue at the same time. They're going to start losing these players, especially if La Russa's still there. I'm going to double up here. You say La Russa's gone at the end of the season. If this continues to blow up, it wouldn't surprise me to see them move La Russa into the front office and possibly get another manager. Honestly, because they're going to have to get this guy away from this team if this keeps going.
That's a good point. They can always do that, like special advisor to the owner position or whatever they do when they're basically just paying dudes, hang around for God knows how long. I know I've said in other episodes, I can't stress how much I dislike the unwritten rules in baseball and how soft these dudes are, especially pitchers, man. Again, Trevor Bauer, fantastic. I saw him talking about do it. He deserves it. There's no reason for throwing at him. That's uncalled for. You throw a 47-mile-an-hour fastball down the middle of the plate, you're going to get a hit. Imagine if unwritten rules were in football or something, right? Imagine, this year, Travis Etienne I'm just going to not use him because I'm butchering his. Imagine Trevor Lawrence breaks off a QB bootleg for Jacksonville. He's gone, right? But they're happening to win by 20. Maybe Jacksonville's winning by 20 in a game. As Trevor Lawrence is approaching the 10-yard line, his coach is screaming for him, get down, get down, get down. Don't go in the end zone. It's the dumbest thing in the world. You don't want someone to hit a home run massively into the stands. Don't throw a meatball down the middle of the plate, okay? You don't want someone to dunk on you to score a touchdown and do all these different things. There's one way to stop it from happening. Go out there and stop them from getting into the end zone or getting into the goal or hitting these shots. It's obviously going to piss you off if these dudes are doing it, but you are the one that can stop them. Do something about it and don't throw at them or be a coward.
I think there's always going to be a place for unwritten rules in sports, like a good place for some unwritten rules. I do believe that they're born out of respect for each other. And I think while respect is definitely has to be a part of it, I think it needs to evolve. It absolutely needs to evolve. And you can be respectful and not be a prude. You can be respectful and still understand that some of these things that you're fighting against, that these unwritten rules are written against, are hurting the game and hurting viewership and hurting fandom and hurting what people want. There are people on social media right now, and I'm not saying they're all well in the head, that say that steroids saved baseball. That steroids saved baseball. That it wasn't like the game, the play of the game, or what was going on then. Steroids and home runs saved baseball. And there are people in that same mindset that say, you know what? Let them take steroids again. That's the fix. And I think that's born out of, I really believe that is born out of this despair and just absolute need for a better game. And I think these unwritten rules are not forcing the hand typing of the unwell, but I think it's forcing a lot of people into these crazy thoughts of, God, what can we do to build this game? What can we do to not stop getting blackouts and stop getting blacked out in home markets on MLB.TV? I said this on Twitter the other day. It's funny to me that the NFL has stated essentially, hey, you're a fan of the Ravens and you live in Baltimore? I'll tell you what, If you're not enjoying the Baltimore Ravens, you pay us for a channel and we'll give you every time a team is within the 20-yard line getting ready to score, we'll give you a channel
Yep.
all day. All day. You watch
Best
whoever the
channel.
hell you want, whoever you want. Whereas the MLB will go, what? You give us $300 for our service? Okay. But if you're in a market for your home team, we're blacking you out.
It's so dumb.
I'm sorry, what? What? So this is all based on what's wrong with Major League Baseball right now. Something else, sticking on Major League Baseball, talking about wrong. I mean, this isn't something Major League Baseball did wrong. This is something the Angels may have done wrong. Mike Trout, rounding the bases, I believe it was Monday night, came up lame. He got pulled out in the first inning after rounding third base, and looks like he has what they're calling a right calf strain. He put on the injured list, 10-day injured list, but it looks like he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. Right now, I think a lot of people are more focused on Shohei Ohtani, who is going to have to step up and be the star there, the star that he's already being, by the way. But let's talk about this for a second. Not so much the Trout injury, which again, you've called him mayonnaise in the past. I actually kind of agree with that. I think he is one of the worst marketed and, maybe self-marketed people in Major League Baseball. But he's one of those guys that when you go to watch him, you're kind of in awe. He has that kind of talent. That being said, have the Angels wasted him throughout his career? He's going to be 30 in August. August 7th, he's going to be 30 years old. And he does not have the best player of probably the last 30 years does not have a world championship.
I mean, they've 100% wasted that dude. Think about how many non-baseball fans that don't know about Mike Trout. Think about how many non-basketball fans that don't know about LeBron James, don't know about Kevin Durant. There is a stark difference in terms of how the leagues and the players market themselves. And the MLB is the worst, and the MLB teams are also the worst. Part of it does stem from how the MLB limits things on social media, highlights and things of that nature could super help in a lot of ways in that. And I don't know what creatives they're sort of working with there. When you look at it, the Angels to me are now very Lion-esque, right? We both know the Lions have been for a while NFL Siberia. Calvin Johnson, wasted. Barry Sanders, wasted.
Oh, yeah.
Matt Stafford. I know we talked about him a little bit early, but Matt Stafford, even you could argue, I'm not saying he's in the same echelon as them, but that's another one of their premier players that they wasted.
I think he's going to open some eyes in Los Angeles this year too. Yeah. I think people are going to understand what Matt Stafford is with LA. So, but go on. Yeah, go on. I mean, I love this. I love the way you're going down to this. I love this. We're going with the injury, but yeah, talk to me about people that have been wasted as much as Mike Trout.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's people will say, oh, but they got, Albert Pujols there on that massive deal to come help Mike Trout or whatever. And that was yes, hindsight is 20/20 on that. But even then, when you're looking at that, Albert Pujols was at the back end of what his essential peak was going to be from most people. Albert Pujols was also a first baseman who had a DH at some point. He also was a larger body individual. Most people were going to think there was going to be some level of breakdown for him, and they were going to be paying an insane amount of money to try to win in a 3-year window, probably is what you would maybe argue with what Pujols had for what was left of his peak at that point.
Right.
They have yet to really invest. Okay, Ohtani, great. But I'm also scared with how they've been managing Ohtani. We are 2, maybe 3 years out from Ohtani having another nasty injury to his arm, and then them saying, go play in first base. We are 2 to 3 years from that happening, and I hate to see that because I'm just trying to enjoy Shohei Ohtani while I can. He is phenomenal to watch. He is exciting. Watching that dude swing at that high inside fastball the other night and absolutely
I don't know how
drill
you hit
it.
that ball out. Yeah, I don't know how you hit that ball out.
I don't get it, but he is so much fun and entertainment to watch. I would much rather watch Ohtani than I would Mike Trout, even though Mike Trout holistically is a better player at that point. But Mike Trout is like watching paint dry on the wall. It's not entertaining, and you're going to get a highlight from him, and I would just rather watch that highlight on SportsCenter than I would pay attention to Mike Trout across the entirety of a game.
And I agree with you. Like I said, I love the Pujols signing was great, or the acquisition of Albert Pujols was great, but then they didn't do much after that. Like it felt like they were like, okay, here's Albert Pujols, go win. And I think they've done that constantly around Mike Trout. It's maybe not for lack of effort, but the choices they've made, some of the players they've brought in have just not. And I understand not working out, but like just baseball analytically just have not been very good signings, not been very good trades. And you start to really ask yourself, Mike Trout's going to be 30 years old this year. You know, he's not getting any younger. And yes, I think he's going to be a very good player, but people forget center field is not an easy position to play. You are essentially moving ball at the left, ball at the right, no matter what it is, you're moving and running on every play. He's one of those players that will absolutely give up his body to make a play. It's not quite as demanding as like shortstop maybe, but still highly demanding position. I don't know how long he can keep this level of play. And by this level, I mean best player in the world. And it's not that particularly that close. You mentioned Calvin Johnson and Barry Sanders and even Matt Stafford. I mean, we're talking about a list of athletes that have been at the top of their game and wasted throughout their career. We talk about Kevin Garnett. Garnett really doesn't get the help he gets until he sends himself to Boston. Like he's in Minnesota, and I remember the big ticket Minnesota. I also remember no one else around the big ticket constantly, and him being frustrated multiple years on not having any help with that. Your boy LeBron, your boy.
Yep.
I mean, when he was in Cleveland, your boy at least.
First run. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it was essentially, hey, LeBron, we know you're young, but go run this team. Go run this team. I'm sorry. What did you give him? Nothing.
Daniel Marshall, Boobie Gibson.
You give him nothing. I even went back in the time machine to the guy like Dan Marino. Dan Marino, widely thought of as the best quarterback without a Super Bowl ring, and a lot of that was because he never had a running game with the Dolphins. He had some good receivers, but they pretty much didn't have anything else for him in a time where running was essential. I'll even bring this up because I'm an Alex Rodriguez stan. I'll stand for it. I don't care. Rodriguez with the Rangers when he signed that huge deal with the Rangers from the Mariners, like they didn't really help him a ton either. Again, they kind of blamed the fact that he was making a ton of money, but still, if you're going to spend that much money on him, surround him with talent, and they didn't really do that. Like we're talking this laundry list of people, and in that whole list. I still can't say anyone's been wasted as much as Mike Trout. I still think Mike Trout is the number one most wasted athlete of all time. And the Angels should be ashamed that they've wasted what is going to be his prime. Remember you just talked about a 3-year window with Pujols? They got about a 3-year window with Trout starting now this year. So 1, 2, 3. Before you start to see Trout, you start to see the tread start wearing. Trout's been on that team a long time. Yeah. He came in young. He came onto that team young. Been on the team a long time. He's human. He is human. He will start to wear down.
They have to put him in either right field because they can't put him at first base. That's going to be Ohtani. Ohtani's going to be the first baseman. So you have to wait. Angels are what? They're AL, right? So they have a DH.
Yes.
So you're going to DH him. You're going to play him in right field. But again, the other thing to point out here, I think is important. Calf strains for people that are like, oh, it's just a calf strain. No. Calf strains are huge. And that's why he's out for 6 to 8 weeks, because calf strains are typically an injury that is associated with being an Achilles tear. You can go very quickly from not nursing a calf strain properly to then tearing your Achilles. You can look at what happened to Kevin Durant 2 seasons, I believe now ago, when he strained his calf, came back too early or came back at whatever period, and then ruptured his Achilles and then was gone. This is a massive injury for a dude that is running nonstop over the field. They better start future planning sooner rather than later, or they're going to be without their guy sooner rather than later.
I agree. Speaking of sooner rather than later, Kwame Brown. Kwame Brown and Matt Barnes. Who would have thought years decades after Kwame Brown was selected by Michael Jordan that not only would he not be a successful NBA player, and he got to the NBA, that's successful enough, but now he's becoming an internet superstar after Matt Barnes, I think it was, what is Matt Barnes' podcast? What is this?
All the Smoke.
Okay, it's called All the Smoke. And correct me if I'm wrong, they mentioned Kwame Brown in passing. Like, they didn't go in on Kwame Brown. It was just kind of like an off-the-cuff remark. And now Kwame has decided he's burning down Rome, and it's been entertaining as hell.
So it's interesting. So basically, they had Gilbert Arenas on the podcast. The podcast is Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. And then Gilbert Arenas, aka Hibachi, for those of you that are from the DMV, came into, the podcast to do sort of, interview, talk about some stuff, et cetera, et cetera. Gilbert is telling stories about sort of Kwame Brown, and they sort of bring him up because if you're talking the NBA, Kwame Brown is mentioned with bust the same way that Ryan Leaf in the NFL is mentioned with bust. They are synonymous with that term in their respective sports. So Gilbert's sort of talking through everything, and he's bringing up stories about, why he thinks or he believes that Kwame Brown didn't necessarily pan out. And a large part of it that Gilbert sort of attributed to, and he wasn't really making fun of him. Like, Matt Barnes kind of doing some funny faces, and I'm like, I think Kwame probably didn't appreciate that. Obviously, which is
Matt Barnes' shtick, by the way. Matt Barnes. Sure. That's why Matt Barnes has a podcast, is because he's incredibly entertaining in what he's done.
For sure. So Gilbert sort of talks through one of the main reasons why he believes that Kwame didn't really transition is he just said, imagine being an 18-year-old kid from the country and your idol drafts you, right? The idol being Michael Jordan, who had just been GM of the franchise. I think Kwame was his first draft pick, if I remember correctly.
It was, yes.
Yeah, so he picks Kwame. There's all this fanfare. Michael Jordan drafts a kid out of high school, number 1 overall. This is incredible. You got a lot of pressure on you at that point, right? But Gilbert was talking about, like, Kwame Brown at 6'11", 270 was like the second fastest player on their team, which in straight line speed, which is like wild. Kwame obviously has went on, a couple of tangents now. I think we're 5 days deep or 6 days deep by the time you hear this in terms of, Kwame rants at this point. I think, people don't understand how big Kwame Brown is. Like, he's 6'11", 270, maybe more than that now because he's not playing.
He's
anymore.
A monster. Yeah, he's a monster.
Gilbert was telling stories that Kwame and his brother once went to a nightclub. It took 20 bouncers to get them out of the club. And then Kwame looked at his brother and says, I got those 3, you get those 3. And then they continue to beat up 6 different bouncers on their own. If you don't know what country strength is, Kwame Brown is the epitome of
country strong. Yep.
Country strength. Now, I don't know if you saw today, Mills, Matt Barnes responded to Kwame.
Yes. Yeah, he said he wanted to bring him on the podcast face to face so we could talk to him. And Kwame's response was, talk your S face to face, wasn't it? Oh, no. But Matt Barnes said, talk your S face to face, not over the internet. And Kwame Brown essentially said, screw off. If you want to talk to me, you know how to get a hold of me.
Yeah. So Matt Barnes said they're going to be in Atlanta, which I guess is where he lives or somewhat close to where Kwame lives now. And Matt Barnes even said, Matt Barnes isn't a little. Let me look at how Matt Barnes isn't little, right? He's probably 6'6", I'd imagine.
Yeah, I would say 6'6", probably. Okay. Yeah.
So Matt Barnes is probably 6'7", 230 or so. He's not a short dude, but he told Kwame Brown, he says, if you need a box to make it so that you'll want to get onto the podcast and talk after to go through your feelings, I'm down to box. I'm not scared. So Matt Barnes, I'm not here to tell you a lot of things, right? Matt Barnes has been through a lot of public humiliation with the Derek Fisher saga. You don't want to box a country dude who's 6'11", 270, and that's his unlisted weight. You do not want to do that. He will punch a hole in your chest. He'll literally tickle the back of your neck while he goes through your mouth. You do not want to catch all the smoke with Kwame Brown. I'm just trying to save your life. You got kids,
dude.
Don't do it.
I've as you know, as Kwame Brown was a Wizard, and I'm not a Wizards fan. I'm a Spurs fan, obviously. Rip the Spurs against the Grizzlies tonight, by the way. I've seen Kwame Brown play in real life, like against adult, full-grown athletes. He threw people around. Now, he never had a ton of actual basketball talent. He was extremely raw. He was a project when they drafted him. But I will tell you the one thing he wasn't, and that was weak. Dude threw guys to the ground to get rebounds without fail. There's a reason that the Lakers wanted him when the Lakers went after him. And, there's a reason he was in the league for as long as he was. And that was because he was freakishly, not freakish physically. Yeah, I think the funniest quote I saw from Kwame Brown in this, and Kwame Brown, he went off. Okay, so when I talk about going off, there's a reason that social media is on Kwame's side here, and that's because Kwame's funny as hell. I think he said he wanted to smack Stephen A. Smith so hard in the back of the head that it would look like he was wearing his toupee on the front of his head. It's like Stephen A. Smith doesn't wear a toupee, and then it dawned on me that he was going to hit him so hard that his hairline was going to move forward. Dude, I heard this. I was in tears. I had to pull my car over because that's where I heard the quote. I was laughing so bad. I just want to say, I agree with you. Matt Barnes wants no part of Kwame Brown. But at this point, I think Kwame Brown should absolutely, he should take advantage of all of this. He's got a social media completely behind him. He should go after everybody. I want Kwame Brown should find a way to turn this into some kind of analyst job. There have been.
It's not gonna happen.
No. Listen, can you imagine Kwame Brown as an analyst on TNT with Chuck and Shaq?
Let me tell you why it's not going to happen. Have you perused into any of Kwame Brown's other material?
Oh no, it's not good.
Okay, well, it's not only not good, but there is rampant homophobia.
Yes, there is. He's not a good person.
Sexism. There's rampant xenophobia, and God knows I stopped there at that point. I was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
This is my other issue. Kwame Brown is getting such a platform, and Matt Barnes even talked about these people don't love you, they love the drama, blah blah blah, which I think is
he's right.
A great
he's
point.
Right.
It's a great point. We are elevating Kwame to get a platform, which good for him. If anybody wants a platform, they have an opportunity to go get one.
Ooh, I see where you're going with this.
A year from now, people are going to regret that they gave Kwame Brown this much attention when you see what necessarily transfers from this energy to something else going forward. It's not going to be great a year from now.
Well, I guess with knowing that, I guess with any luck, maybe this will be short-lived. I have a feeling when it comes to Matt Barnes, I have a feeling this is not going to be short-lived. Stephen A. Smith has pretty much just come out and said Kwame Brown was right to roast him on Instagram. So I think Stephen A. Smith is being smart and trying to get away from this.
Yep.
I don't really think Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes are going to do that. I think this is probably going to extend. I think Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson are kind of licking their chops right now and seeing a lot of attention come out of this. So they may just do exactly what you're talking about and elevate Kwame Brown to a spot we may not want to see.
Agreed.
What we do want to see though is NBA playoff action or play-in action. Play-in action. I went 50-50 yesterday, one for two. I called the Pacers beating the Hornets. The Pacers front court beat up on them. Malcolm Brogdon, even with Karis LeVert being out in that game, Malcolm Brogdon with that team makes that team look completely different. They beat the Charlotte Hornets and are now waiting for the Wizards, which will be on Thursday. The Wizards losing to the Boston Celtics. Well, the Wizards losing to the Boston Jason Tatums, because that was pretty much all it was. Jason Tatum dropping 50. I don't know. If you're the Wizards, I don't know how you don't triple team that dude and just say, hey, look, anyone else on the court, you can shoot. Even Kemba. Kemba was a little hot. Anyone else can shoot. Not him. Anyone else but him.
Yeah, I don't really know what their strategy was, but again, when Scott Brooks is your head coach, I don't really know if you have much of a strategy. That goes
especially
back to
on the defensive side.
Yeah. I could go on for hours about that subject.
Yeah.
Your Spurs are making it a game. I'm looking at it as of right now. 5 minutes left in the third. They're only down 9. They were getting blown out 32-11 when we started the podcast. So
Spurs, as I told you, look kind of like a mash unit right now. Like a lot of injuries. I think Keldon Johnson's their most consistent player, which is a scary thought. But we'll see. My feeling for tonight. Oh God, tonight, man. But for those of you again that don't understand, we're recording on Wednesday night, so we are just minutes away from the Los Angeles Lakers and the Golden State Warriors playing. Which, if that in itself doesn't show you the value of a play-in game, now don't get me wrong, they would have been the 7-8 seed anyway, but there's a chance, and if things go to plan, if LeBron is healthy, which I think he is, he looked a little shaky at the end of the Pelicans game. Looked like he might have rolled an ankle, but if he's healthy, they're going to beat the Warriors. That's pretty. And I don't think the Grizzlies or the Spurs, I don't think either one of them can beat the Warriors or Lakers in the second game. So we're either going to get Is this the best 7-8 we've seen in forever? We're either going to get Lakers full strength against the Suns, who a lot of people say may have been the best team in the West this year so far, and the Warriors against the Jazz, or vice versa. Those matchups alone make the first round Western Conference, and I don't even think those are the best matchups. I think the best matchup in the West is going to be the Clippers and the Mavericks.
Oh God, I don't want to get started on how much I hate the Clippers right now and the tanking they obviously did to lose those games to avoid playing LeBron.
For what GoodGameBro, GGB's talking about is the Clippers didn't want to face the Lakers. There is a thought going around that the Clippers are afraid of the Lakers and didn't want to face them until the Western Conference Finals. Well, the way the playing games work is the 7-8 seeds play each other, and the winner of that goes to face the number 2 Phoenix Suns. A lot of people think the Lakers getting healthy are going to beat the Warriors and go on to face the Suns. Well, if the Clippers were in the 3 seed where they were, their second round matchup would be the winner of the Suns-Lakers matchup, which again, honestly, if we're being straightforward, the Lakers healthy are the best team in the West.
Yeah,
a healthy Lakers team. I love the Suns. I love what the Suns have done this year. I love what Chris Paul's done this year. I love what DeAndre Ayton's done this year. I love what the Jazz have done this year. The Jazz play my brand of basketball. I love all of them. But I'm sorry, the Clippers facing off against the Blazers and then having to face off against the Lakers is not what the Clippers wanted, so they tanked. That game against Houston that the Clippers had over the weekend is the worst tank job I've ever seen.
Yep.
Like, I've never seen. They had players walking in the second quarter throughout that game. Everyone knew what they were doing. So instead, they dropped to the 4 seed. They're going to face off against the Mavericks, who they're going to beat. Don't get me wrong. They're going to beat up on the Mavericks. I love Luka Doncic. The Clippers are the second best team in the West, and it's not particularly close, honestly, in my opinion. Then they're going to get the winner of the Jazz and what we're going to guess is the Warriors, Grizzlies, or Spurs. Any one of those teams. The Clippers, again, I love the Jazz. They don't have Donovan Mitchell. They're not the same team. They're going to whoop up on any one of those teams. The Clippers are built differently. The Clippers are built.
Mitchell's coming back first round. I just read.
Is he coming back? Well, even so, he's not coming back full healthy. Like I said, he maybe they make it. Like, I don't even think, honestly, Mitchell back first round.
But if he's back first round, they could squeak out a win, and then second round, he's ready to go against the Clippers. I think they could be fine.
Do you think they beat the Warriors, though?
Here's the thing. The Warriors Jazz game will set the record for most 3-pointers made in a single series.
Steph Curry, if Mitchell's not 100% and they don't have somebody to guard him, because Conley's not going to guard Curry. No. Mike Conley's a great player, completely underrated. He's not guarding Curry. Curry has a chance if that series, it's 7-game first round, right? Or is it 7-game first round? Curry's got a chance to go for 300 points, which means he would average over 40.
Bogdanovich is going to kill them too. Bogdanovich and Curry are going to obliterate 3-point records in that series. Yep. It's going to be wild.
It's going to be a fun series to watch. But let's just talk about, we'll get in the Eastern Conference here in a second, because we'll try to blow through this. If the Lakers face the Suns, the Lakers beat the Suns. I'm sorry, they do. You agree?
I agree.
Nuggets, Blazers. I think the Nuggets win.
I think I go Blazers there. The guard play of Dame and CJ against the Nuggets not having really answers for them. Because remember, I think Blazers win. I actually don't disagree. I mean, I could see either team come out of that. Yeah. It's not going to matter. It's not going to matter because the Lakers are going to whoop up on whoever does. I honestly think the Blazers are built a little better for the Lakers than the Nuggets are. But my Western Conference Finals is Clippers-Lakers, exactly what the Clippers wanted. They didn't want to face the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. The Clippers are the best team in the Western Conference, not named the Lakers. And get this, the Clippers are built to beat the Lakers. The whole thing they did this entire offseason was, we have to find matchups for the Lakers. This actually may play out to the Clippers. This may play out to exactly what the Clippers want. I just don't trust Paul George. I trust Kawhi. If Kawhi staying healthy, I trust him. They got playoff Rondo. I get it. They got, the Morris brother. You can't trust whichever more Marquise or Marcus. I don't know which one it is. Doesn't matter.
They're both good.
I can't trust Paul George.
Paul George was not that bad in the playoffs before last year. this is not like a thing. Last year was an anomaly, and don't get me wrong, it was a terrible anomaly. He was one of the worst players in the court throughout the playoffs last year, but it was an anomaly. He's not normally that bad in the playoffs.
Nobody's normally that bad, but Paul George against the Lakers, right? We're talking about Paul George going up against LeBron.
Yep.
Something against LeBron just doesn't work. And maybe it's a fact. I think Paul George is from LA or from that area, so maybe playing against the Lakers is like a weird thing for him. Like, I don't know,
right.
But look, I'm playing at LeBron. If LeBron is healthy, I am taking LeBron 10 times out of 10. I won't bet against him as long as he's healthy.
So let's talk about the Eastern side just real quick, because we know what the East is. Boston's going to face off against the Nets. The winner of Wizards Pacers is going to face off against the Sixers. Now, I'm going to say this. I picked the Pacers to beat the Hornets and then the Celtics and then face off against the Sixers. Here's the thing. Miles Turner's out. I really wish he wasn't, because I feel like the Pacers of any team in the East with Miles Turner matches up so well with that Sixers team, man. That team, they don't really have an answer for Sabonis. They really don't have an answer. Well, I mean, Brogdon Gordon would be or not Gordon. God, I'm blanking on his name. Who's a point guard I hate?
On
the Sixers.
Oh,
why can't I think of his name? The big tall dude.
Oh, Ben Simmons.
That's it, Ben Simmons. I kept wanting to call him Ben Gordon. I don't know why. So Simmons Brogdon would be a fantastic matchup with Brogdon being healthy. LeVert would be back by then. I think LeVert would be tough for them to deal with. I just without Miles Turner, I think it's a different series. I think the Wizards have a chance against them. I don't think the Pacers have a chance against them. I don't think the Celtics would have had a chance against them. The Celtics don't have a chance against the Nets either. So give me your East rundown real quick. Who do you think comes out of the East just in those matchups?
I need to pull the playoff tree because I don't have the playoff tree in front of me.
I'll give it to you. It's six. It'll be Sixers versus the winners of Wizards Pacers, which is Sixers no matter what.
It's easy.
The matchup, it's Knicks Hawks in the 4-5. That'll go up against that.
That's a 6-game series. I go Knicks though.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Knicks win the series. You have Bucks versus
Miami,
whoever.
Right?
Yeah, it's Miami. Yeah, it's Miami. Bucks, Miami, and again, this is not going to be. Butler was a monster last year. Butler's not repeating that from this year. He's already tired.
Yeah, I got Milwaukee there.
Yeah, I agree with Milwaukee, and then Nets Celtics.
That's easy.
Yeah, so second round, you're gonna have Sixers versus Knicks.
Sixers take that 5 games.
Yeah, I agree. You know what really sucks though, because I really love watching the Knicks this year. They have an energy this year that just works. And the NBA is better. I said this before. The NBA is a better place when the Knicks are a good team.
Agreed.
So I hope this is a stepping stone for them to continue to get better and not a flash in the pan for them. So Sixers in the East Conference Finals. You got Bucks versus Nets. Both teams are going to be healthy.
I'm going Bucks, man. I don't think the Nets are winning it.
You're out of your mind.
I don't think the Nets are winning it.
How do you, dude? There's no one going to stop the. All right, we'll agree to disagree.
Harden,
so I'm going,
Kyrie, and Durant have played 11 games together this entire season.
And one, as much as they have without that, they're not going to have a problem playing together. They're not going to have a problem playing together. And this is Durant in the playoffs, man. No, this is hard in the playoffs. Come on. There's no one in the league going to guard all three of them. There's no one in the league going to guard.
Who's guarding Giannis?
Okay, so is fullback dive going to work? Because that's the play they run.
Yep.
Fullback dive every time down the court. No, come on.
Bucks
3-pointers beat 2-pointers. It's a different world. So, okay, so let's say we have Nets or Bucks versus Sixers.
I'm standing by Bucks winning, and then I'm saying Bucks beat Philly as well. 6 games.
I will say the Nets beat Philly. I agree. I think Philly drops no matter. Would you if the Nets win against the Bucks? Do you think the Nets beat Philly?
Honestly, I think Philly's got a chance to take them. Here's the thing. It hinges completely on Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid has to average 35 a game for them to beat the Nets, but I think it can be done. More than likely, Nets win, but I think it can be done.
I think it's harder for Embiid to average 35 than it is for Giannis to average 35 in a series versus the Nets.
Embiid's a better free throw shooter than Giannis, though.
Yeah, but Giannis, for as much as I hate his jump shooting, no, you know what? Embiid's probably a better jump shooter than Giannis is. Honestly,
He's just not
he
as
probably
fast.
is. That's a good point. Actually, okay. So then let's say both are saying that I'm saying the Nets go into the finals. You're saying the Bucks go into the finals. We agree the Lakers beat the Clippers, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, but are you agreeing that the Clippers are in the finals? Probably.
I don't want him to be, but probably, yeah.
Okay, so all right, we have Lakers. We've got Nets or Bucks. Who wins?
LeBron James. I don't bet against LeBron James.
Are you ready for this? The NBA champion of the 2021 season. You ready for this? The Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets are going to be the kryptonite for LeBron James.
Everything that's wrong with the world.
Listen, I don't like super teams as much as anybody else does, but I am not betting against James Harden. James Harden put on a fat suit to get to Brooklyn, okay? That's what this dude did. This dude knows what he's doing. He is smarter than all of us. You don't understand. James Harden is playing chess. The rest of us are playing checkers. My guy knew what he was doing in Houston. You remember the pictures. He looked like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. All of a sudden he gets to friggin' Brooklyn and he looks like a Greek Adonis again. What happened? That's all it was.
I gave him my workout plan, and James got back in shape.
Okay.
It takes 2 weeks.
Okay.
It takes 2 weeks.
Real quick, just a quick hitter on the way out of here. Tim Tebow is trying out and actually was signed by the Jacksonville Jaguars to play, you ready for this? Tight end. Not even a quarterback. Tight end. You know there's going to be a trick play with Tebow running the ball. You know it's going to happen. How do you feel about Tim Tebow back in the NFL?
Look, man, I mostly love Tim Tebow.
Come on, it's fun.
It's
fun.
This is just another thing of Urban Meyer playing favorites and showing it's a good old boys club and hiring, whatever his friends are, right? He hired the racist dude and then he had to fire him. Now he's hiring Tim Tebow, who hasn't played football in 3 years. If I'm Colin Kaepernick, I'm looking at the NFL and I'm going,
Hold on. Tebow's being brought in as a tight end, so it's clear he's coming in not as a quarterback. He's coming in as a tight end.
He has never played tight end. He also has not played football on a team since 2015. He has
God on his side.
I don't care if you got Yahweh.
Name it. You're ready for this?
Christo,
you're this? I'm gonna give you 5 seconds. Name me one tight end on the Jaguars roster. That's all I needed. They've got nothing else. They might as well go for the name. They don't have nothing. Don't you see typing?
Is that it?
I see you type. Don't you type out of here. Trying to type Jaguars tight end as quickly as you possibly can. Last thing, Jalen Hurts has come out and said he is okay with the quarterback competition in Philly. He better be okay with it because he's not the best quarterback on the roster. The elite one, Joe Flacco, is on the roster in Philly, and they're going to need Flacco because that's a tough division to win this year. Talk to me about Jalen Hurts and the quarterback competition in Philly.
The tight ends are Chris Manhertz and James O'Shaughnessy.
Exactly, Chris Manhertz. You should know Manhertz. Manhertz is a Steeler, wasn't he? All right, can we hold on? Wait a second. Before we get to Jalen Hurts, I'll give you the Jalen Hurts thing in a second. Can we go back and say it's okay to sign Tim Tebow as a tight end now?
No, that's like saying it's okay to sign me. Oh, we only have these 3 tight ends. Let's sign Doug Veeney at tight end. He's never played it before. I have as much experience playing tight end as Timothy Tebow does.
I know what the next long shot in that is going to be. It's going to be playing as Tebow going through his years.
Oh, he stopped playing hockey and now he's playing like I can't. He's gonna do more hurt to freaking what is his name? Trevor Lawrence. I forgot his name because stupid Tebow. What's gonna happen? Training camp's gonna start, right? Tebow's gonna walk out there. He's not gonna have his shirt on. He's gonna be 6'3", 255 now because I'm sure he's been bulking up. And they're gonna be like, oh, Tebow. And Trevor Lawrence, God's gift to quarterbacks, apparently by all NFL analysts all of a sudden, is going to be like, wait, they don't want me. And then Trevor Lawrence leaves in 5 years after he signs his 5th-year option and gets up out of there. Timothy Tebow is the reason why Trevor Lawrence is going in 5 years in Jacksonville, and I'm standing on that hill.
He's 33 years old. He's not going to touch the ball as a quarterback. Get out of here.
The Tebow mania will single-handedly drive him out of this game. I promise you.
You ready for this? Blaine Gabbert throws more passes than Tim Tebow does for the rest of their careers, mainly because Blaine Gabbert's about to go to Green Bay and start for them.
No, because they're going to get Teddy Bridgewater to go to Green Bay, and they're going to. Tim Tebow throws over 5 passes this year. I promise you.
I actually don't disagree with that. Urban Meyer loves trick plays. I mean, it's just what it is.
Yep.
So I don't have a problem with that. Real quick, the Jalen Hurts thing. Jalen Hurts QB competition. Are you okay with him coming out and saying, I'm okay with the QB competition? Or should he be saying, hey, this is my job. You literally traded the other guy away. This is my job. You're not bringing the elite one in here to take my spot.
I don't have an issue with it because I think it's a new coach, if I remember correctly, for the Eagles. And I think it's just a new coach trying to stamp his thing of saying, like, I'm open to seeing who's out there. This also isn't his guy, right? Like, I'm pretty sure the dude is a new coach now for the Eagles. So I'm operating under the assumption of it's just a coach saying, I want to find the quarterback. Everyone's got an opportunity here, yada, yada, yada. It should be Jalen Hurts' job, in my opinion, because I can't even tell you who their backup quarterback is personally right now.
I just told you.
Ooh.
My guy. The elite one.
Flacco?
It's Joe Flacco.
Okay, dear God, this should not be a competition. If I am Jalen Hurts, I am pissed off beyond belief, and I am literally demanding a trade right now.
Joe Flacco's the man. Joe Flacco gets them to the playoffs. It's a weak East. Well, it's not really a weak East. The Washington football team and the Dallas Cowboys are running away with that. So
Joe Flacco is beyond garbage. Joe Flacco has never been elite, and you know that.
I'm hurt. I'm hurt. You're doing this just to hurt me.
Joe Flacco needs to go. Like, your beard is going to go on June 11th and be gone.
This is okay. Now you're just purposely trying to chide me here. What is this? What is this?
Joe Flacco's chances of blowing in the wind like your beard, or his days are numbered. You know, just
you
like
aren't the trash talker on this show. I am. Okay, you're the comedy relief. I'm the trash talker. Let's be free here. Okay, let's free with our words.
I'm the funny one.
Tim Tebow is going to chase Trevor Lawrence out. You're the funny one, the funny looking one, at least for another 3 weeks.
Absolutely. That was my joke.
I stole it from you. Wasn't going to let you have it. Wrap the damn show up. Come on.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are done and we are gone, just like Mill's beard on
Probably
June 11th.
Forever.
Do not forget.
Probably forever.
I cannot wait. Mills, great episode. Good to have you back. Sorry I was dealing with complications of the Rona vaccine last week, but I'm back and better than ever. So
that's questionable.
Yeah. Well, anyways, download us, give us 5 stars, leave us comments all over the internet. Tell Mills his beard. I combine Mills and beard. Jesus Christ, I'm out here. Be safe, be smart. Tell somebody you love them. Catch you guys in the next one.
Ciao.